Welcome to Fasting Space. So nice to have you here. How are you today? Good to share some time with you here. We center our thoughts on a positive vision for this day so that we can make a powerful step forward in health. Say hi in the chat if you would like. Share where are you coming to us from? Are you fasting today or not? No big deal either way. Fasting to me, I always like to say, as much about a mindset as anything. And so that's what I try to give you here. Strengthen the mindset so that we can move forward in a joyful and positive way. And of course, if you're coming through on the replay, say hi in the comments. Let me know how you are doing. A special shout out this morning to Eve's Journey. Sent me a nice note last night. Put a link to their channel in the description for this session so that you can check out their fasting journey. Very thoughtful things that they're sharing about their process. So cheers to you today. Happy fasting. Hope you are doing well. Today we are talking about fasting for a worthy cause, and then I put on the cover photo here for it, for weight loss and for health. These are the big things. Weight loss and wellness, this is what I love to focus on. If you need to lose weight, if you're in a space where you say, hey, I would like the number on the scale to go down, then I say, I hope you're in the right place. We're walking on that path. And then to me, I say that's just the beginning. We are all about total wellness. That's what I want for people. The talk I did yesterday was about using this word, human flourishing. I love that. So like step one, just say, get things better. And step two, better and better and better. Flourishing, isn't it such a huge word? Christy is with us. Good morning. I hope you are doing so well today. Really nice to have you here. Doing some fasting today. Awesome. I hope that it is a thoughtful and pleasant experience for you. I had a fasting day yesterday. My personal experience, I used to do a ton of fasting. I gained so much weight during my residency training, and I had a hard time getting rid of it before I learned about fasting. That was my personal thing. I've always been a huge exerciser. I was running and competing in half marathons and training extremely intensely. I could not get it to budge. Now, I was also eating all the time because I grew up eating 4 times a day: breakfast, lunch, dinner, bedtime snack, probably snacks in between, and this is the way that it was. I didn't know that it could be any different. And amazingly, I didn't really learn that at all in medical school. But it was, I feel it was kind of a personal miracle that fasting came to me, helped me out so much. Now I use it as a tool to help keep everything in balance once I used it to get to my goal. And then I use it as a wellness practice, especially when I really want to dial in and get a lot of work done, when I really want to clear out the space and do my best thinking. Yesterday, I gave a talk at a nursing conference, which was beautiful. So many medical providers, and get to talk about fasting and wellness and health and food and movement and every beautiful thing that I try to share here. And so every time I do a talk, I try to do it fasting. Just because the spirit of it feels so good. Try to practice what I preach always. And then, I'm not worrying about any digestion, everything just focused, try to connect with the audience. And I feel like I was able to do that yesterday. So I loved that. But my experience, coming back from Peru, I shared I was traveling. I was in Peru for a while. And I did some fasting around that. Fasting, I find a very helpful process for traveling. Whereas, there's expensive airport food that isn't even healthy anyway. And if you're traveling in a foreign country and it's like, I don't really know, can I trust all this stuff? I was like, okay, if you are practiced in fasting, we say, you know what, I'm just going to have some fasting space. Guarantee for myself, not going to pick up any digestive problems, okay, while we're traveling. So, but coming back, was kind of out of the habit. I was eating 3 meals a day again, and I was just starting to feel like, oh, and I got to tell you, yesterday, a fasting day, it felt so good. So I hope you find a space like that. If you're in a space where fasting is a struggle, just realize, hey, I have been through that, right? Fasting is a practice. You could call it a discipline. It's something that you have to work at. It's something that the body gets used to. And what I tell people, just like any practice, any skill, something that you work at, it's something that you can get better at over time, that the body can adjust to, and it can come to feel very pleasant, something that you want to do just in and of itself. We say today fasting for a worthy cause. If maybe the worthy cause is weight loss, this is a very worthy cause. Like if you want the weight to come down, if it is causing a burden for you in some fashion, if you're talking with your medical team and they say, hey, this is, would help some other process that you have, like blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, the liver health, heart health, pancreas health, digestive health, so many things, fasting getting to such a root level in the body because it is interacting with our metabolism. We were talking yesterday, even about, and many days, the metabolism is dynamic, and people think that it's static, that it's just stuck in a place, that if it were to slow down, that it could never come back again. And that is not true. The metabolism is dynamic, and it can change, and fasting is one of the things that can change it. And don't you wish that we knew exactly why the world was the way it was, everything? Some people I see do some fasting, and it can really flip that switch quick. And other people are in a space where that switch is more stuck than others. And sometimes it takes some deeper levels and some more time than we wish it was, to help grease and lubricate the little contact points that help get something unstuck like that. But that's what this space is, fasting space. I want fasting space to be problem-solving space. Two things, celebration space and problem-solving space. So if you're flowing through a fasting space and everything is just clicking and you say, hey, this is like, I am just really stepping on the journey and it's just a flow state, I say let's celebrate stuff like that because that sort of state is possible. If you're in a state where you're not experiencing that, it might feel like, is that even possible? So I want to give you great encouragement. Yes, it is possible, and stick with it and lean into it. And if you're in that place, share the difficulty, share the struggle. Nothing on my channel is hyped. That's like the goal anyway. You can tell me if you think it's true. I think it's true. Not hyping anything. Fasting is a real process. There's real potential, which means there's periods of time where things can flow, and there are periods of time, isn't it, in life? We have seasons of struggle, including deep struggle and difficulty. And we don't want to close a blind eye to any of that. If we're going to be on a real journey, a real journey that is not some, curated process, it takes time, and it is a process, and it's the process. What was the beautiful quote we did the other day from Rumi was, let pain become your progress, and that is the case. And then we did the session the other day from The Alchemist about, discovering our personal legend, that this journey going, like, what is the heart saying and how is it leading us? And, all these are, I guess, metaphors and inspiring little ideas that, like, we have to go through a process, that most things of value in life have some kind of barrier to them. It's through overcoming the barrier that we gain the strength to actually attain the thing that we want. I like that. So today I'm going to share a passage with you from one of my favorite books, The Mountain Is You. And, we're about halfway through that now. We've done a bunch of sessions flowing through this. And I'm excited to see where it goes. I love I hope it is as fun for you as it is for me. I love going through this stuff live. I haven't read it, so I don't know. A lot of times, you say I would read some stuff. I'm reading some stuff now where I really want to understand it before going through it. But this is kind of like its own journey. Where is it going to take us? Here's what I encountered yesterday as I was thinking about this. They say part of the human narrative is wanting something to overcome. Now, we could stop in them right away and we could be like, I don't want to overcome this, I don't want that. And I can feel that too, okay? But think of the big picture of it. What if this experience we're having, why are we having it? I don't know, but here we are, What if we never had anything to overcome? What if there was never a challenge or a struggle? If we looked at it from that perspective, what if we're just sitting in a white room somewhere and food shows up and we eat it? That could be kind of a dystopian existence. So, if we look to that very, far negative side, we say, well, we wouldn't want an existence like that. And we look over, and of course, some people, life is not fair, I would say, at least from some perspective, some people having much more difficulty than others. Why are these things the way they are? I don't know. But okay, so we can look across this whole potential human experience and we say, well, in general, having something to overcome is an experience. It is okay. They say the trick is keeping it in balance. Maybe this is what we're really trying to do in our space. Bring things into balance. Sounds good to me, right? We're trying to say we want to bring the scale into balance. Think of the old-timey scale, and we're balancing all the things. We say we want that balance to come in just a little lower, please. But then, of course, maybe more importantly, we say really bringing our emotional state into balance. Isn't this really what we're after, the deeper layer? Taking a deep breath, finding a space of peace and contentment so that we can flow through the struggle that inevitably comes. Absolutely. Choosing to exit the comfort zone, to endure pain for a worthy cause. That's where I took this title from. I was thinking, so we want something to overcome. We say we have a struggle. Maybe we've identified the weight is the worthy cause. Maybe we are looking at some other health process, the blood sugar, another health condition. We say it's worth it. This is what I say. It's worth it to take care of ourselves. If we have to have a struggle of something to overcome, this is my encouragement for you. Our health is a worthy cause. Sometimes we say, oh, we're not even worthy of having health, right? This would be a very discouraging thought that could come in. This can be part of self-hatred, so much of the negative thinking that we can have toward ourselves. Can't we often be so unkind to ourselves? Do you believe that you are worth it? That taking care of ourselves and making powerful decisions so that we can be healthier and experience something as beautiful as human flourishing. Do you believe that you are worth having that it's worth having some amount of struggle and effort for? I say it's true, okay? And I want you to have that mindset and to build it and foster it and nurture it every day so that you can develop love and kindness and compassion for yourself first. Say, yes, it is worth it for me to do it, and then take that energy and flow out so that you can share it with as many people as possible too, That's how we build up the positivity and the good vibes and the momentum. It just cycles around, That's what we want. Positive cycles in our life. They carry on here. They say it's about staying engaged with what we can control in life. Absolutely. But then listen to this, which is most things if you really think about it. Boy, did that make me think. I don't know. I don't know about that sentence. Like, I'd do some good thinking about it right now. Sometimes it seems like, to me, like, actually, do we not control very many things? You know, part of my process has been realizing I can't control so many things, especially things that I would get angry about, things that are happening in the political sphere all around the world. There's 1,000 problems everywhere that I can't, control. So you have to let go of that. Helps me to take a deep breath and realizing, okay, the things that I can control are just the things in my one tiny little life right here. And that is even hard enough, to control. Am I eating the healthiest food? Am I taking care of my body and moving it in healthy ways? And am I showing kindness to myself and other people? These are struggles to do in one little life. So, but maybe that is what they mean here, what we can control in our life. Maybe we can actually control here. Let's be more empowering. Let's take it. We can actually control a lot of things in our life. We can make significant changes in our environment that have real impacts on our body and health and mindset and thinking. And so once we have let go of the things that we can't control, we can take powerful control of the things that we can actually change. And I want to inspire you to do that. And that is what we're trying to do here. So I think that's what they're saying here, finding that balance. I think that's an incredible balance to move forward in health, is to find that line, the things that we can control and the things that we can't, and not let any of our precious, limited energy that we could be using to the things that actually move the needle, to the things that help us change. Don't waste a molecule of that on anything that we can't control, and bring all of that human energy intensity here into our own life, into the spaces we can control. They go on, they say, anti-fragile things need tension, resistance, adversity, and pain to break and transform. I really like that word, anti-fragile. What is the opposite of fragile? People say words like, strong and robust and things like this. Say anti-fragile, like things that resist fragility, that in their nature are opposed to it. I like that. We want to be anti-fragile, right? This is like weight training as an analogy. I love weight training as an analogy for fasting. That, when you lift a weight, right, you're actually breaking that muscle down, but that creates the stimulus that helps it to grow and reform into something stronger. This is definitely the fasting process. If you look at fasting physiology, if you do an extended period of fasting, okay, you will be losing weight. Some amount of that weight is body fat, a little bit less of it, depending on the length. You lose some water weight, and then some amount you will lose some lean mass. You preferentially lose a lot of body fat, but you will lose some lean mass in a fasting period. Okay, but then the fasting is over and the energy returns and the protein, and you will build back even the lean mass stronger, especially if you're combining it with weight training, which is just driving the whole process. This is how we become lean and strong. So, the whole process really physiologically in the body is the same, breaking down lean mass and building it back in a more efficient and powerful way, but then also just as a metaphor that fasting, here's a lot of things that fasting helps us to encounter paradox. Fasting is nothing. Fasting is openness. Fasting is just space for the body to operate and use energy. I like to describe it like just a breeze blowing through that we can sail with. Okay, but fasting is also tension, right? It is also its own type of work. It's the work of doing nothing. And just like the work of lifting a weight, like here we are lifting a metabolic weight with fasting. the type of thing that can help us to transform. I love that, like the butterfly. So speaking of this tension, they say here, we get this by deeply communing with life and being a part of it rather than fearing our emotions and sitting on the sidelines. Isn't that beautiful? We've done sessions on overcoming fear, right? Fear is the biggest obstacle, isn't it? Just huge. And I love this word here, deeply communing with life. Eve, in the note they sent, we had a little chat on YouTube, was getting out in nature, practicing fasting while out in nature, and saying that this getting out in nature was the highlight of this fasting experience. I just shared my perspective. If I'm doing some fasting, I'm trying to move toward health, like getting out in nature. I totally agree. Nature is always a highlight to me. Being out in the world amongst, especially some open space and trees, always is a source of strength and inspiration. I always feel more calm, centered, and grounded when I do that than when I don't. Helps me to take a deep breath and release stress and tension. And when I am fasting in that space, I feel like fasting is a little bit of a process that can open us up a little bit. It's a little bit like this reading is saying, a little bit of tension, a little bit of something, help us get out of the mind a little bit, get down into the heart and the body, the things that I think about, and whether it's true or whether it's just an idea that is helpful. Say like, okay, we are nature, and when we get out in nature, we get out of a building into nature, I think it helps us connect more deeply. I think thoughts like, hey, this is where I belong out here. This is what a human being is. I should be out here caring for the trees. And these things are just beautiful thoughts like this. And then in a fasting space, it helps, I think, soften the heart. We spend like the last 5 sessions, right? How do we talk to the heart? How do we get in here? Get into nature, have some fasting space, open up some space. That's the type of the space where if the heart is holding some emotions in there, it's got ideas, it's got, things. Heart is trying to lead us and help us go in a path of health. We say fasting for a worthy cause. Like everything in our being, whatever we're doing, however we're spending our time, we're trying to flow in a direction for some reason, whether it's just earning money, which is a fine thing. Say we got to earn money to pay for things, to take care of ourselves and our family like this, or some broader purpose that we have. We try to find meaning in the work that we do, okay? And then part of the meaning we're looking for, a worthy cause. Yeah, just taking care of ourselves, moving toward health. So loved that conversation. To me, that's deeply communing with life when we can find spaces like that. Nature is one. Relationships and conversations with thoughtful people, another one where say really can sink into a space. And then spaces like that, hopefully spaces like this, where we can connect around such a powerful process, fasting process, getting deep into the body and the physiology. To me, I resonate with that. Deeply communing with life. This is what we're trying to do. Don't fear the emotions. That's the other quote we had earlier in the week. Keep your heart open through everything. And how did that end? Can become our great ally. That's what we want. Heart is a great ally. We said in that session, don't put it in a box. Don't put it away. Sometimes we said maybe we have to do it. We've experienced something difficult, something traumatic, some sort of struggle. And maybe for a time we say, we just wall ourselves off from the emotions. We get through a space, but that can kind of scar us and close us up in a process. Not a healthy state to remain in any more than we have to do it to keep ourselves walled off from our emotions, right? Fasting space, part of a process like a meditation space, thoughtful spaces, try to open that up again. Try to process and release and forgive. Man. Forgive. See, there's another word that makes me take a big deep breath. There's something very difficult to do. We tend to hang on to things that wound us. We think that if we are hanging on to it, that we're maybe punishing the person who did something to us, or we are having resentment for an experience that happened, and we think that that makes it better in some fashion, but really it just keeps punishing us, right? Sometimes it takes the difficult work of being open to going back to something like that, being able to sit with it in order to finally let go of it. And sometimes that can be a big hurdle on our path toward healing. See, we can't stay on the sidelines forever, nor do we want to. Embracing the grit of it all is what you were made for. Lean in and start living, they say. Yeah, I like that last sentence. I have a slight, I get a slight little twinge on that last sentence because say, like, start living. It's like, was I not living before? No, we're living. Okay. Like, I feel a little judged by that, and it's okay. They're trying to be inspiring with it. We will take the positive thought of like, let's really start living, you know? Have you felt like that? I know I've had seasons where they use a phrase in there that is so powerful. Like, are we deeply communing with life, you know? I was like, I've definitely gone through a lot of seasons where I would say no, you know? Where I was like, I'm just surviving here, you know? I'm just getting by. And, but isn't that a longing that we have? Like, I think most people, do you experience it, feel somewhere in here, maybe in here or down in here? It's like we do really, like when we hear words like that, grit, and we say like, yes, I'm ready. Some seasons we are not ready to dive in for a challenge, you know? And if you're in a season like that, it's okay. You know, come hang out here. Nobody has to do anything. We just sit here. We're thinking about ideas. I think the ideas are the most important thing. You know, I said a stat that I made up the other day that, you know, it's 10% fasting and 90% mindset, you know, something like that, which is just the idea that I was exploring. And the mind guides our thoughts and actions. And so spending as much time as necessary to just get our mind into a totally centered, powerful, and strong space is way more important than diving in on any kind of dietary process, whether it's healthy eating, fasting, which to me is the same thing. It's just finding the balance. We're going to be eating periods of time. We're going to be fasting, whether maybe it's just overnight, maybe it's just 10 hours, okay, but we've got it. And so we're trying to find that balance. But like that's its whole world there. Fasting space, healthy eating, bringing nutrition into the body, but then the whole broader process. How do we think and feel about it, you know? How are you thinking and feeling about it? Feel free to share your thoughts at this point. Because if we're thinking and feeling poorly about it, I got to tell you, like, how is that going to serve us? Are you going to force yourself into some process that you're not feeling good about? Like, see, I would never want someone to do that. That doesn't sound very sustainable to me. I only care about things that are sustainable for people. Like, if people are able to do something and force the square peg into a round hole for a while, you know, but it feels, you know, off, most people not going to keep doing something that they not feeling good with, you know. It's the same thing with exercise. I'm a huge exerciser. I want to encourage as many people to be as active as they comfortably want to be. And, but there's a lot of people who force themselves into exercise that they don't enjoy. And, you know, my experience is that people can punish their way to some better health for a while by doing that. Like in the short term, say people getting a little stronger, people losing a little weight, but if you're not enjoying it, like most people reach a breaking point with that over a couple months, and then they don't continue it. And I say it's much better to dial a process like that back into a level. Maybe it's just taking a walk because, you know, I love things that are both, you know, helpful on a weight loss process, but also a wellness practice in and of itself. Whereas like you want to do it and feel better. If you do it and feel better in our mental health, in our mind and our spirit and our being, okay? It's like then the health benefit that you're getting from it in the body is like a bonus, That's a win-win. And we want win-wins as much as possible across every domain. Then we get in a cycle where we can flow forward in health in a joyful, positive way. Help us on our process, our worthy cause. Better health, more strength in the body, a leaner and stronger being, both physically in the body, in our mind and spirit. Fasting is a tool in that process that I say is a very powerful tool. You can add it on top of all the tools that everybody else knows about, choosing the healthy food and moving the body in healthy ways. Dialing in on a mindset of peace and contentment through some breathing practices help send that message, the deep breath, telling the body, hey, everything's okay. You can put down these hormones that are telling us that danger is here, and we can actually turn on the repair enzymes and help to rejuvenate the system, okay? And we can get out the journal, and we can help to write this stuff out. Like we were saying, we get out in nature, we open up a little bit, we open up some fasting space, let some of the stress and the difficulty out, let it flow out into the journal. Beautiful practice to do. Wonderful to share this space with you. I hope you enjoy these thoughts. I hope you have a beautiful day. And I will look forward to connecting with you again soon. Have a great day, everybody.